And this property now is 100% full. It's been 100% full for 2 years. And if you run the numbers and you look at the cap rate, it's like 15, 16, 17% this thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And it's worth right now over $500,000. It's worth like $600,000.
Welcome to the BiggerPockets Best Deal Ever show. I'm your lovable host, Ken Corsini, who with my wife, Anita, have flipped over 800 houses in Atlanta since 2005 and even have a show on HGTV. But this show isn't about us. It's about all the amazing real estate investors out there that are crushing it. It's about their stories, their best deals, how they sourced them, how they funded them, and what we can learn from their experiences. This is the Best Deal Ever show. Hey, this is Ken Corsini with the Best Deal Ever show. On today's episode, I am joined by my new friend, Stacey Rossetti. Stacey, how you doing?
Hi, good. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Man, I'm thrilled to have you on. I love the log cabin look you got going on behind you. Sort of matches mine, actually.
I know. I built that myself.
I would have believed you if we hadn't already had this conversation, because that looks very believable. I would just say it looks like you're up in the mountains in a cool cabin somewhere.
Well, I do live in the mountains.
So you could have told me that was a log cabin you were in. I would have believed you. Hey, so interestingly, you're not that far from me. You're like 30 minutes up the road from me. Tell the folks where you guys live.
I live in Jasper, Georgia. It's up the North Georgia mountains, right above Atlanta.
Yeah. It's funny. I'm right at the edge of the North Georgia mountains, like here in Woodstock. Like if we get to a clearing, I can see all the mountains where you live just straight north of me. And it is, for the folks that don't know, North Georgia is gorgeous, right? I mean, it's fantastic up there.
Yeah. That's why we moved up here. We needed some fresh air. Yeah.
Well, so you were on the south side of town, right? South side of Atlanta before in Peachtree City. And then complete antithesis of that is the mountain life of Atlanta, right?
Exactly. Yeah. You've got like Peachtree City, which is like suburbia. And then you've got the mountain life where it's like there's nobody around.
So crazy. And now you guys are in like a quasi tiny house on the top of a mountain, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep. Last year, we decided to sell everything that we have and move into a tiny house up on the top of one of the highest mountains in Georgia.
That's amazing. How many people dream about doing that? Like, I'm going to just get rid of all my junk and just go simplify my life. And then you actually did it. That's so cool.
I know. Hopefully it'll inspire some more people to do it.
I think so. So give people your quick background. So you've obviously been in this space for a little while. When did you get into real estate? What did that look like?
I actually got into real estate right on the upturn in 2010. And it was the best time to get into real estate, in my personal opinion, because houses were like super cheap.
Oh, yeah.
And I learned, when I got into real estate, I learned how to wholesale and then I learned how to rehab houses. And that's what I did essentially for 10 years is I rehab houses. I still rehab houses right now. Mm-hmm. And so that's kind of what I was focusing on for many, many years and many rehabs.
Wow. Yeah. And then at some point in time, you sort of transitioned and said, you know what? I like this self-storage space. How did that come about?
I got pregnant at the year of 2016. And like at that time, I was doing 20 rehabs. And in my mind, I was thinking like, as a mother, I was like, there's just no way I'm going to be able to do 20 rehabs and have this kid at the same time. So like, essentially what I did is I told my realtor, I was like, I need to start thinking about passive income. Because like with rehabs, essentially, you never know when you're going to close a deal. You know what I'm saying? So I was kind of like, as a mom, I was thinking, I need to be more secure with like money coming in and stuff. So I started looking for storage facilities right around 2016 when I got pregnant, because I really wanted to just stay home and be with my daughter. That's what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
So I started thinking like, how can I have more passive income and how can I get rid of like all this chaos in my life? Because 20 rehabs at the same time is just like you're running around like a chicken with your head cut off.
Trust me, I know it gets it's crazy to manage that much, especially if you're going to be at home with a new kid. That would be almost impossible. So thinking, I guess, about storage facilities, hey, this is something I could potentially manage from home, right? I don't have to necessarily be on the road for that.
Well, that's the whole purpose of me getting into storage was that I have storage facility owner friends that live in different states and have their storage facilities in other states as well too. And so you can manage your storage facilities if you know how to manage them properly and set them up so that you can do it, because a lot of storage facility owners do not do this. But if you know how to set them up properly, you can manage your facility from anywhere in the world, essentially.
Wow. Even without necessarily an on-site property manager, you're saying?
I have no on-site property manager. So, well, actually, we have around 450 to 500 doors right now, and we did not get an on-site property manager until after, until just recently, until like the last couple of months. So we were managing them ourselves, and the only thing that you really have to do is you have to make sure that they're cleaned out when somebody moves out, and you have to overlock them, right? So if they don't pay, you have to go lock them out.
Yep.
Those are kind of the two big things you have to do. But in order to do that, even with 450 to 500 doors, I mean, it takes like one day a month. I mean, literally, we worked on our storage facilities one day a month. Now, we have an office manager that we hired after our second facility to manage the office and manage taking the calls.
Right.
And things like that. So she does all that, and she's been working with us now for many, many years, like 5 years. And she just kind of manages all that. And then my husband would go around and do the overlocks until recently. We just hired the boots on the ground person for us.
Okay. And is that boots on the ground person full time, like day in and day out, or they just
one day a week? One day a week, yeah. And we pay him $200 a week.
Oh, come on! For over how many doors do you have?
With almost 500 doors.
So you're paying a guy one day a week for $200.
He drives around. He makes sure all the trash is picked up. It's when he moves out of a unit, they always leave something.
Sure.
Right. And then we ask them. We say, take a picture of the unit to make sure it's clean. The unit is always clean. But outside around the unit is always like trash everywhere.
That's where the disaster is.
So you have to have somebody going around and pick up the trash.
I got
and then you have to have somebody that's like overlocking. If somebody doesn't pay, like on the 15th of the month, we run our facilities we put our foot down.
Yeah.
Right? Because otherwise they'll take advantage of you.
Sure.
So essentially what happens is like on the 5th, like by the 4th, I think all of our payments are due by the 4th. If they don't pay by the 15th, we lock them out. And by the 25th of the month, we start the auction process.
Wow.
Yes. Yeah. So our tenants are trained. This is one of the things that I teach is like, you have to train your tenants. Otherwise they just take advantage of you.
Sure. Yeah. Well, so you've only been at this 4 years. I guess this is probably a good segue into your best deal ever. Is your best deal the first one you did?
The best deal that I love all of my deals, honestly.
Sure.
I've made a lot of money on all my deals, but essentially the best one that we've ever made is our very first deal. And that's what happened. So when I got pregnant in 2016, we started looking for a storage facility, and luckily we found one that was about 15, 20 minutes away from our house, which was like the perfect area for us.
Yeah, sure.
And so what I did is I kind of went, I drove her up to it and looked at it. And I was like, man, this thing is bumpy. I was like, and actually, as a rehabber, when you look at a bumpy anything, you're just like, oh, I love this thing.
Right. Money.
Yeah. Yes. And like, you just visually just like, oh, I can totally fix this thing up. Right. And so I went and I took a look at it, and basically what it is it's on 3 acres. Essentially the lot is 3 acres, and it's in kind of like an industrial area. So it's not like, it's not like off the highway or off a main road. It's kind of off a back road. Yep. And it's in like an industrial kind of area. So it's like run down is okay, right?
Yeah. And
so it's like a long strip of units. There's 64 10 by 10 units.
Okay.
Right? So 64, and then around it was parking. All parking. There's a lot of parking, right? For that, you could probably fit at least 50 parking spaces. Now, when I went to go look at it, and I talked to the owner, and I talked to him, and he was like, I said, well, is it full? Like, how much money are you making per month? He was like, oh yeah, it's full. It's full. And I was like, okay, so how much money are you making per month? He's like, I make like $2,000 a month. And essentially, if you had really like figured out, 50 parking spaces at $60 a month and 64 units at $60 a month, I mean, that comes out to like $7,500 a month.
Yeah.
Calculate all that. I'm like, why is he only making $2,000 a month when he should be making like $7-8 grand a month on this thing?
Yeah.
And so that kind of got my wheels turning. And so I said, you said it's full. Are people just not paying? He's like, oh, no. It's been full for years. Like, I just never cleaned it out. When anybody moves out, I just never clean them out. He would just literally, like, if they moved out and left, or they left or didn't pay, he would just, like, leave it there.
So it was full of stuff.
After a while, he had no space to rent out.
Come on.
Yes.
He was full of stuff, but not full of paying occupants.
Yes, exactly. And I'm telling you, a lot of storage facility owners are just like him. Just like him. Yes.
Wow.
Another thing is that the way that he had the parking was like, oh, just go find a spot, like just wherever. And like people were just parking, I mean, just ridiculous spots and stuff. And so as I kind of looked at the thing, I was calculating in my mind, okay, I could make this much on the units and the parking needs to be, if I could fit like 50 spots if I actually organized it properly, right? And I was in my mind calculating that and trying to figure that out. This is my very first deal. So I literally had no idea what I was doing. I was just like, how much money can I make on this thing? Right. That's what I was thinking. Right. And then another thing that's really, really important for everybody to understand about storage facilities is that when you buy a mismanaged property like this, this guy, he had no P&L. He has no balance sheet. In fact, he only took cash. Took cash. He had no money. I said, well, show me your numbers. How do I know you're actually making $2,000? And so what he did was he opened his drawer and he pulled out a ledger.
My gosh.
And he was writing in like who paid and what. And that's it. That's all he had.
Holy cow.
Right? So these are the type of properties that I like to buy. And then when he did that, I was like, oh yeah. And I said, and he had this property on the market for 5 years. He was trying to sell it for 5 years and nobody came and tried to buy it from him. And it was on the market for $500,000. And the thing is that if it was 100% full, and it was run properly, and he had a P&L and a balance sheet, and he could show his numbers and show cash flow, it would definitely be worth $500,000.
Sure.
But he didn't have that, right? So I used that, of course, as a negotiation tool.
Yeah.
Right. And so I basically said, okay, so I'm going to give you an offer. I really, really want to buy this place, and I can close in 30 days if you want to do that. But the thing is that my offer is going to be low. And the reason why is because I cannot go to a bank and borrow money on this property because you did not manage it properly. If you would have a P&L on the balance sheet, I'd be able to go to the bank. I'd be able to go pull a loan out and get 3, 4, 5% interest or whatever it is, But right now, the way that you ran this property, I can't do that. So my offer is $200,000. That's my offer.
Holy cow! Wow.
And so he was like, I'm never going to take $200,000. And I was thinking, but in my mind, I was thinking I would pay like 200, like I would go up to 250.
Yeah, sure.
Right. That was what in my mind. So I said, I offer you 200. I said, I'm offering 200,000. Like essentially that's it. Because the reason why is because I'm going to have to go get a private lender. I'm going to have to go. And guess what? My private lender is going to charge me like 9%. Yeah. Right. So because of that, I'm going to have to pay double the rate that I would have to pay if I went to a bank. So because of that, I have to offer 50% or less on your property so I can make up that cost. And so it got him thinking. And so after about maybe a week or two, he called us back and he said, okay, what about 250? I'll take 250. And so in the end, we put it under contract for $250,000. All right. And this property now is 100% full. It's been 100% full for 2 years. And if you run the numbers and you look at the cap rate, it's like 15, 16, 17% this thing.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. And it's worth right now over $500,000. It's worth like $600,000.
Oh my gosh.
So not only did I buy the property for $250,000, because we're cash flow, we make like $75,000 a month or more. Right. So we're making a lot of money. And so basically, if you run the numbers, this thing is worth like $600,000. So not only did I buy it for $250,000, and when I sell it, I'll make $250,000. On top of that, our monthly bills, because storage investing, storage facilities, don't have any expenses hardly at all. And the smaller ones, as you get bigger and bigger, of course, there's more overhead and expenses and stuff.
Sure.
These tiny ones like this, we have our mortgage came out to like $2,000 a month.
Yeah.
Our insurance is like $1,000 a month. The like pest control and lawn care is like maybe $100 a month. And then the software that we use to manage the facilities it's like maybe $150, $200 a month. And then marketing. Now in the beginning, we had to pay money to market to get it all up. And now it's 100% full and there's a waiting list.
Wow.
There's like no marketing for this thing at all. So
Wow.
essentially we have like $2,500 a month in bills every single month. And we're making like 7 to 8 grand a month every single month.
So you're really revenue wise, you're bringing in what, like 10 grand?
So monthly, we're bringing in around 4,000 to 5,000 net.
Net. Okay.
Net,
Gotcha.
$4,000 to $5,000 net.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're netting around 50 grand a month. Let's just say netting.
A year.
I'm sorry, 50 grand a year. 50 grand.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on top of that, we've built it up and we've built this thing up so it's worth like at least, let's say, $500,000. So we're gonna when we sell it, we're gonna make 250 grand on it.
Yeah. Well, but why would you sell at this point?
We're not going to sell it, but like if we ever
right.
decide to sell, we are in the process of refining that thing out though, right? So
For sure.
what happens is I borrow money. When I borrow, the lenders usually anywhere, like they'll do a loan length of like 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
Something like this. And so then we're coming up on 5 years. So I'm just going to refi this thing out and get it at a lower interest rate. And then the mortgage will drop. I mean, to like $1,500 a month or something. So we'll save even more money.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to take that money right out of that deal, and guess what I'm going to do? Buy another storage.
Reinvest that stuff. Yeah, heck
yeah. Right into another storage facility. And around $250,000 is a really, really good price for a good size storage facility. I mean, that's a good 250 to 300,000 is like a good sweet spot for the smaller facilities.
Sure. Mm-hmm. So let me ask you, this was your very first storage facility deal. How did that change your mindset? What did that do to your business going forward? Were you just like, forget single family, this is what I'm doing?
Oh no, we've gotten rid of we've gotten all of our rental properties. We've gotten rid of all of them but one. And we just reinvest in storage facilities now. Because I mean, the thing is how many rental properties do you need in order to make $4,000 a month?
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, like what, 10, 8? I don't know. Yeah.
Right.
I'm like, why would I manage 8 houses when I could manage one storage facility? And the thing with storage facilities is that, I mean, as I said, I have not been to a storage facility, any storage facilities in like at least 6 months. And my husband, he only went up until this last couple of months, he only went like once or twice a month to go check on the facilities, and that's it.
Wow.
That's it. So like if you calculate how much time in a month that we put in, like let's say 5 to 10 hours in a month, and you calculate like how much money you're making on, let's say I make $4,000 a month and spend 10 hours a month working on these storage facilities. Like, I mean, that's like $500 an hour we're making.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just like, so the time that you spend, and what happened is like over the course of the last 10 years, basically the way that I think personally is how much I want to do something that I can make a lot of money and like work like no hours. Like I want to make as much money as I possibly can and like work as less hours as I possibly can. And I'm telling you, storage facilities are exactly that.
It's like American dream. Work smarter,
American
right?
dream, right? And that's what we're doing is we're in the process of, that's what we did. Like we got rid of all of our rental properties. We're focusing only on storage. We're building a portfolio right now. And we want to be able to travel whenever we want, wherever we want. And you can do that. You can manage. So my husband, like ever since everything's like went crazy and stuff, he went up to New York. He took my daughter and went up to New York and just stayed because he's from New York. He's from Long Island. And they've been in New York for like the past month. And he manages the storage facilities. And he has been in New York, right, for the past month. And that's
of all the places to go, though, man. I don't know that running into the belly of the beast a little bit.
He's just staying in the family in the house. That's what he's doing. So they're not doing anything, But like my daughter was starting to go crazy,
Yeah, yeah.
So I was like, she needs a change of scenery. I was like, go hang out with your family, and they, and they'll just like he's able to work, and then they go and just take care of her, which is kind of awesome,
That's amazing. Again, when you would say you travel a ton, I mean, it gives you that lifestyle. That's
exactly, I'm telling you, that's exactly what what the storage facilities do, is they create this, you can, if you want to. Now, the thing is that there's not a lot of storage facility owners in the world. And a lot of storage facility owners honestly don't think this way. They don't.
Yeah.
They have one facility or two facilities, and I talked to one lady. I called her up, and I was like, I said, you want to sell your storage facility? I'd like to buy it. And she was like, it was like 300 units. And she was like, no, she's like, I'll sell it for 1.4 million. I was like, no, I'm not going to. Like, I'll buy that for like about $400,000.
Yeah.
It's like $1 million too much. But, I was like, so what do you do all day long? She's like, I just sit here all day. Like, she was literally just like sitting in the office all day long, manager. I was like, well, are you bored? Like, what do you do? Because I know that managing 300 storage facilities, you can do this from your phone.
Sure.
You know? It's not that much work. And she's like, it gets kind of boring. She's like, I watch a lot of TV and stuff.
Oh my gosh.
And
There's got to be a better way.
I'm thinking to myself, lady, you should be going out and finding more storage facilities to buy.
Yeah. What an
That's
amazing shift, though.
Think a lot of them.
Well, and that's why there's opportunity for you. You get all this burnout from these people. You swoop in and you figured out a more efficient way to do it, and they have no idea. Yeah. I love it, man. You've got my interest way peaked in storage facility. I was already interested into it, but now having talked with you, this is fantastic. And what a deal. First one you do, you've already created $350,000 in equity, $5,000 a month net on this thing. I mean, that's phenomenal.
That's what I'm saying. It's like, that's a really good deal. That's like, that's like the best of the best. And most of the time, like on my storage facilities I own, we're cash flowing, net, we're making like a couple $1,000.
Yeah.
But so, if you have 5 facilities and you're making $2,000, I mean, that's $10,000 a month extra every single month.
You've turned these suckers around and you're creating hundreds of thousands of dollars in equity though, right?
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So I've, as I said, like I'm doubling my equity. Like I'll spend $150,000, $200,000 on a property. And in 2-3 years, it's worth $400,000.
Right. Exactly.
And that's what I said. There's value add. So essentially, that's why I love storage facilities, is because not only do you create passive income every single month, but you also are building passive wealth.
Totally.
Right.
Absolutely.
And that's the key. That's the key. Is like when you think about real estate investing, the goal is like, how can you make money without doing any work? That's why everybody gets into real estate investing, right? Yep. And everybody gets into rehabbing and wholesaling, and I totally understand and get that. But those are active. It's active income, and you have to work your butt off for that, right?
Yep.
Whereas like on the passive side, people say, okay, rental property. But I'm telling you, storage facilities are the way to go.
That's where it's at. Stacey, I love it, man. Thanks so much for coming on today. This was a great story.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I'm honored. Thank you.
Take care. Talk soon. Thanks for listening to the Best Deal Ever show, brought to you by BiggerPockets. If you've been energized, entertained, or enlightened by today's show, please feel free to hit the subscribe button. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Ken Corsini, or check us out online at redbarnhomes.com. And don't forget, one man's best deal ever may be the inspiration you need to create your next best deal. So, hope to see you on the next episode.